welcome to the first episode of the Nigeria in Focus show. My name is Oluwabukola Dimula, and I'll be your host for today. Today with me are two amazing guests. To my left is
Ambassador Splendor Agbonkpolo, the Executive Director, Initiative for Leadership and Economic Watch in Nigeria.
And to my right,
Zugwai Tagwai, a development practitioner and good governance advocate.
thank you for gracing us with your presence on this show. Our topic for this show is subsidy in focus. We want to explore the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy on everyday Nigeria and get opinions from our guests on what they feel is their opinion concerning this fuel subsidy. So I'll start with you, Ambassador Splendor. What is your opinion about the fuel subsidy removal? Are you in support of it? How do you think this decision is actually impacting the life of everyday Nigerian?
I'm totally in support of the removal of fuel subsidy because it benefits just microscopic few within the system. So when Mr. President, at the instant of his resumption in office, said that subsidy should be removed, it was a demonstrated commitment, and we sincerely applaud him for that bold step. But the resultant effect of that decision is actually affecting the common Nigerians negatively in terms of the prices of goods and services has risen astronomically, and movement from place to place has become so difficult, and the prices of transportation is also high. So it is not telling well on the common Nigerians, to be very honest with you. If you look at the mode with which it's going, one would have expected that at the first instance where the subsidy was removed, at the price it was pronounced, it should have been there, stable, not to say after a few months or a few weeks, it went again to 610. And I learned that there's a plan to raise it to 800. So I do not understand the modality for this constant increase of price of fuel. We would have expected that, okay, the government said they want to remove fuel subsidy. What is actually the cost that the government is subsidizing for? We are not made known the actual cost. That we only made to know that so amount of money, trillions, is being spent for subsidy. At what rate? Is it times what we are paying now, as at when we are paying 185? Is it times 2? Are we supposed to pay times 5 or times 3 or times 4? So we are not happy with the way it is going. We were expecting that it should have been where it was at the first instance and remains there while we try to cope with that situation. But now that it's increasing, it's causing a lot of apprehension and negatively impacting the economy, to be very honest with you. Because the economy that we are talking about rests within Nigerians that are participating within the economy, in businesses and other trade and all that.
Sure. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
that elaborate answer, Splendor. I mean, we were all expecting that this fuel price will just, yes, this is the amount the government were subsidizing. Let it just stick there. And then a few weeks after, is it that they didn't totally remove it at first or what? So from your angle, to Kwai, what do you think?
I would like to buy into the idea of Mr. Splendor. I would first of all say that fuel subsidy removal is not something new globally. We know that governments of nations have over time subsidized certain social welfare benefits for citizens, and at some point these subsidies are removed because it has its own impact on the general economy of a country. Most of the funds that are used for subsidies are from revenues that are gotten from within the states, and these revenues could be used for other things like infrastructural development. Nigeria, as a case study right now, is, well, we've been having issues of debt, a lot of borrowing to solve certain issues, especially when it comes to subsidy, which is one of the reasons why the government, in quote, decided take off subsidy. So yes, I'm in support of it. However, I believe that certain mechanisms needed to be put in place for citizens to be able to gradually navigate through whatever changes that is being dealt them, especially with the already huge challenges that we're faced with. You have high tariff, and aside high tariff, we know how our Nigerian context is. Once you say fuel price goes up, every other thing goes up. The way it is currently, we even have tuition fees being hiked across institutions. So you're not just thinking of fuel, you're not just thinking of transportation, you're not just thinking of businesses. You're thinking of school fees, you're thinking of rent, you're thinking of transport, you're thinking of food prices, and there's a lot more. So as much as I'm in support of it, I think that information and education of citizens wasn't properly done. It is a juicy idea that we saw from afar, and as usual, we jumped on it without properly preparing for the impact of what we're doing.
Thank you so much for that answer, Takwan. Going to preparation, Ambassador Splendor, do you think from your own angle there are some policy or maybe infrastructure the government could have put in place before the removal of this fuel subsidy that would have, helped the citizen to an extent? Because the sudden removal is literally not, in quote, not making Nigerians to breathe freely. So do you think there was something that the government would have done that would have made the effect not this
Hard.
Thank you for that one, on Nigerians?
It's okay. To be honest with you, if I want to be fair and blunt, we are yet to see the investment, subsidy removal, reinvestment. Government has not come up with a plan that this is what they are going to do with the money that is accrued after removal. That, okay, government is going to do this, it's going to do this, going to set up micro industries across community, across 774 local government with the subsidy so that they can trickle down to the grassroots. We have not seen such plans yet. So if you ask me, government has not come up with a clear cut of what they want to do with the accrued profit after removal. We are yet to see that. So we can't postulate for government. We can't assume that government is going to carry out infrastructure with it, or is going to do this. We can't assume for government. Let government come out with a clear cut. Like what I was hearing initially, that government is going to share 80,000 naira to 12 million households for palliative as subsidy, which was a wrong policy. Sharing money policy is never sustainable. At the end of the day, the people that gets is not worth to 20%. It goes back to the system and fills some pockets, big pocket within the system, and the purpose for it will be defeated. So what use is it when you know that what you are going to do is going to fail in the end? There's no point starting it. I also appreciate Mr. President for listening to advice. I learned that he has withdrawn that decision, and they are looking at other areas where they can really invest that money into, which they have not come up with a clear cut of what they want to do. My brother, my sister, Nigeria is a nation, is a sovereign nation. As a matter of fact, the rights of the citizens as to what is happening with respect to economy, with respect to government decision, with respect to government policies part-time is very key. The level of education in terms of government policy as to government plans is very low. Government will just wake up in the morning because he's been faced with one or two challenges and he has been battling with it. He will just wake up and make decision on that particular, without consultation. That's why you see a lot of policy somersault. They will make a declaration, and policy does not end at declarations. You have to look at the implementation. It is implementation that matters. One of the things that I discover in this part of the world is that government does not drive policy with programs. Policy is supposed to be driven in program. You have to look at the short term and the long term impact on that policy. You drive with the program, look at it for 1, 2, 3 years to see the sustainability strength in it, so that you look at the area of threat, area of strength, So that if there are areas you need to strengthen, you strengthen it for it to be sustainable. But this part of the world, we are just good at making pronouncement of policy without knowing how it's going to end. So at that point, the issue of fuel subsidy is a policy. Whether I like it or not, it is one of the strongest policies that drive the economy, oil and gas. And I can see the way this government is going, everything, every of their taking is centered around it. Yes. It's like they want to make money from oil. The only window that the government sees now is oil. And that's very disappointing. When you have other vast opportunities, there are minerals, wasting in the land. Why can't they look into mineral extraction? I mean to see how they can develop that industry. Mr. President can say, okay, money that we are getting for subsidy, we are going to deploy it to mineral extraction. We are going to create micro industry within that system and generate employment. That is what we want to hear. Not to say you want to remove it and put money in people's pocket to go and eat one day. 10,000 cannot give you a pot of soup.
How many fuel can 10,000 even buy?
So what are we saying? So the need for government to be very proactive and very listening and very practical in what they are doing is very key, so that the citizen will begin to have confidence in this government. There's a lot of issues that happened in the previous government. We expect that this government has come to correct it. And that's what Nigerians expect. There's so much expectation from the government. Please, it's a message that we are sending to the government, that government should look at the plight of the citizen and see how they can, reduce it at least to a barest minimum, so that the citizen can say, let the poor breathe. But the poor is not breathing now. As the president says, let the poor breathe. But the poor is not breathing. The poor is being suffocated right now by the increase in the fuel price. So that is a very serious matter.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those scenarios.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sometimes I look at it and I'm asking myself, are there people that actually look at, analyze some policy before it's being implemented? Do we even do evaluation after it's being implemented? Because when you think of all of this, before you make a policy or pass a bill as a law or something, you need to look at how this is actually going to affect the normal Nigeria, because we are the one that is literally going to either benefit or suffer the consequence of whatever law that the government is bringing. To you, Zikwai, from your own angle, before the removal of subsidy, do you think the government could, what are the kind of infrastructure or things that the government could do to actually make the body easier on young Nigerians? Or on Nigerians generally, because it's not only young Nigerians.
You're going to sound very partial. Okay, thank you. So again, I would like to follow the train of thought of my partner here, starting from consultation. Consultation is very key. You don't just out of excitement stand on a podium and make declarations. Yes, during the campaigns, fuel subsidy removal was part of the campaign plans of all candidates that were vying for presidential position. But it's more of how you go about it that's most important.
Yeah.
And I think, my perspective, I don't know if, so I don't want to speak for him, but maybe out of excitement, he felt, and then he just made, because he was having a conversation with the people, and all of a sudden he paused, and then he made that declaration of subsidy being removed, and then went back to his conversation. I think that consultation is I believe that consultation is very important, because in the place of consultation is where you get feedback and input from people. And consultation is not just with your lawmakers. When you're talking about policies, it affects people. So you need to bring people, experts who are in that specific area of that you're dealing with. People who are academia, people who are from the private sector, people who are into business, people who are from the CSO space, people who are individual citizens, people that are in every sector that can contribute to say how they feel this would be right or not. That's how you consult. And from that, you get feedback of how well whatever decision you're about to take will impact the people or not. So I feel that consultation should have been carried out before that decision of announcement made, especially knowing the kind of environment we are in. Nigeria is a place where even if it's a rumor, people begin to act on it. When we hear by mistake, somebody mistakenly says, it's like there will be fuel scarcity. Before you leave this place, there will be queues across the city. And if you know that's how the environment you are in, you do not just open your mouth and say things without proper consultation. Consultation should have been made. Secondly, for practical decisions that should have been put in place or practical actions, I think that we have issues of security. It may not seem so important, but there are reasons why people are going through the challenge of food shortage or food price hike. It's because farmers can't go to their farms in peace. It's because people can't move about with goods. I can't go and render services in certain locations in Nigeria because I'm scared of getting kidnapped or getting massacred or something. Have we addressed security enough so that if the fuel price goes up, I don't mind because I can still go to the farm, get my produce, sell, and people will still buy and I make my money? Did they think about cutting the allowances, very outrageous allowances of government officials? Because I've still not heard that. In all of the palliatives that even state governors are talking about, we will give 10,000, and somebody said they will give 10,000 on top of the 8. Somebody said let's increase it from 8. I really don't care about what you're giving. If it's not, and how long is it for? For 6 months. What happens after that? They should do something about the outrageous allowance. If they want us to adjust, let everybody in the country adjust
at the same time.
Next thing I would talk about is the issues of transportation. In Abuja, years ago, there were mass transit buses. I know that the governor of Borno State is bringing that back for his people so that he reduces that issue of transport fare hike, and also for farmers for transportation of goods. But can we have government mass transit buses with maybe transport vouchers that are at the same price cut for every citizen? You could easily access these vouchers that will help you move around without having to, maybe if I'm going to Suleja now, I'll have to think of 1,500 or 1,000. If I'm moving from Garki or Apo, I'm thinking of 500, 700. It's different prices per. Can we have unified prices of transport using vouchers? Food. We do have storage. We do have federal storages of food. Can we get this food subsidized to Nigerians at good prices? Sell them off so that people can actually feed. We are talking about all of this price increase, and minimum wage has not been touched. Kudos to certain people or certain places, private sector especially, that have reviewed some of their salaries. I know a lot of the financial sector, well, three financial places have reviewed their staff, and it's a good thing. Government, what are we doing? We talked about minimum wage. How many states actually pay minimum wage? How many are paying pensioners? And then we're saying review. What's the review going to be? Because you cannot review and then move it from 30 to 50 or 80. We're joking. So if you want prices to go up, you better improve. And when I say review minimum wage, let's also not forget people who are not government workers. Can private sector, can personal business people also review the salaries of their workers? Because you can't have young people or elderly people or middle-aged people working for 15,000, 20,000. It's unheard of. Issues of, let's say, health insurance. Can we have an increase in the resources that are put in health insurance so that I don't have to be a government worker to enjoy health insurance? A normal person who does not have a job, someone who is retired, can still access health insurance. Because today, you serve the government, you retire, you don't have access to health insurance. These are areas that when you address these challenges, people won't even feel it. Why? Because the truth is we're all making noise in Nigeria, and valid noise, because we do not have things in place. The system is not working for us. Across Africa, there has been subsidy removal. Ghana had subsidy removal, I think, some years back, higher than us. But because some of these things, like he said, were put into infrastructural investment, it's working for them. If the hospitals are working, I can access healthcare easily. I can access education easily. We have government-sponsored transportation. Food is easy. Things are easy across. Why would I be thinking about whether you hike price or not. So these are little things I feel that could have been put in place and can be put in place if this should work rightly.
Thank you so much. That was motivating. That is actually a good point from your hand. Because if all of this are actually put in place, I mean, why would I be complaining that my transport was increased from this amount to this amount? There is already other stuff that I'm not feeling. Because why I'm complaining is because I'm paying higher transportation fuel. At the same time, paying higher fuel or money for food. At the same time, the NEPA bill is there, eyeing me. At the same time, I have this I'm paying for. Everything is literally just increasing at the same time. And I think Nigeria is not that rich to actually be able to take all of this. Let's not even forget the tax that is there. Literally everything is coming and it's overwhelming for everyday Nigeria, for citizens to be able to do something about it. So yes, thank you for that. Going to business, I don't know why, but we're all in Abuja. I've noticed quite a decrease in the number of vehicles and decrease in the number of citizens outside Abuja. How do you think business are actually coping in this with this fuel subsidy removal issue? Because they actually add to our economy. If business are shutting down in this, then there's actually a big problem. There's a bigger problem for us.
Yeah, because in the next 3-4 months, businesses are going to be shut down completely. Because they will not be able to, because where businesses run on energy. As a matter of fact, power is very key. Are you hearing me? And there's no power. And the alternative source of power is generator. And what is used for that generation to drive those businesses is fuel. It burns back. If you are running production and when you consider what you spend on power generation, power to power your business, and you now look at your cost of production, look at what you are getting in. When you run it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you see the return on investment is not clear. You have to pack it up for a while till you are able to situation passes. Because if not, you will be grounded totally. So I can tell you that business is going to be grounded with time if care's not taken, if the measure that government is trying to put in place, if it's not enough to cushion the effect, I can tell you that businesses are going to shut down. That's for sure, because business are already shutting down. Because now it is the big people that drives car now. Yes, a place where you can. Where in a day I used to spend 5,000 for fare throughout the day. Now I spend close to 15,000-20,000 in a day. If you calculate that in a month, you know how much I will be spending almost more than half a million just to move my car to my place of business. How much is my salary? So at that point, it becomes so challenging. That's why some people, civil servants, they don't go to work. They have structure the number of days they go to work. Now, at times, some 2 times in a week, some 3 times in a week. My dear, it is affecting every sector of the economy. And I can tell you that there is no infrastructure that government can put in place in a hurry now that can cushion that effect totally. Because if you are talking about infrastructure, you are talking about refineries should be working. You are talking about setting up modular refineries that can bring in modular refineries should be given more licenses so that to increase production. So at the local level, if I have like 5, 6, 7 modular refineries in my state, and their production per day is able to survive the daily distribution, I think in a short while you see that it will reduce. So the need for government, the only thing that government can do now is to quickly give much approval to modular refineries, let them kick off instantly, because within 6-7 months you can set up a modular refinery. Let government see into that as one of the piloting, one of the ways to cushion this effect. If not, if it's for sharing money, it's zero. They said that there is an increase in forest, and that has also impacted on the increase in fuel. And I want to ask, before the removal of subsidy, how much was of dollar? Dollar was almost 700. Was within 700 thereabout before this government came in. So what was added to it? Now dollar is 800 or something. Just about a few this thing that is added to it. Does that not make everything to be times 5 of what we were paying before? It's totally unacceptable, to be honest with you. Government need to think inward. They need to do the needful. They must be very practical with it. They must be very serious with it, because now it's going to bring about hunger. You know what hunger means? It's going to make some people to begin to take up what they are good at to be able to survive for themselves. Because a man that has not eaten for 3 days and he have access to gun, you know what he can do. Government should look at that also. We are saying America, we are saying London, we are saying UK, Canada. What is it that is common among them is that they have been able to conquer hunger. That's one thing. A friend of mine was telling me a few days ago that he just relocated his family to UK. He said they went to grocery shop to get some food. He said they bought chicken laps at level pounds. He said when they took the chicken lap home, when they count the number of laps that was, it was 64. He was not asking, he says, how are they going to eat this 64 for 1 month? It means that they will not be able to finish that chicken for 1 month for 11 pounds. So one of the things that is common among all these developed nations is that they have conquered hunger. And it's one of the focus that Nigeria should have. How to conquer hunger and reduce to the barest minimum. If they are subsidizing for food now, I will accept. Let them subsidize for food so that food can be at the lowest level. That's the way you can conquer hunger, where you as a common man, the little job that you are doing, the little money that you are receiving, you can still go to the market and afford 3 square meals. That is what we are looking at. That is what the government should be government focus on, how to conquer hunger completely and improve the economy. If not, there's going to be crisis.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ezekiel, do you have something to add? Something to just say?
I think he has said the bulk of what I had in mind. Just in addition, starting up and maintaining the efficacy of industries and even refineries, because if we just give credibility to the refinery that we know, without mentioning its names, it would still bring about monopoly. So having licenses for a number of refineries and supporting those, because we even have refineries that are known to certain people that have licenses, but they are not well supported to function. If we have that running and industries, we would have employment. So you won't just be having production, but you will have people with something to do. That way people are able to address issue of the increase in tuition fees.
Definitely.
You don't have people jumping out of school because or dropping out of school because I can't afford it, and people taking up arms and insecurity. You don't have people crying for hunger or saying we can't afford basic medical care. And again, I would still go back to saying at the end of the day, outrageous government official allowances. We really look, we need to, a lot of times we just, our outcry is reduce this, give us palliative, and we do not address our leaders. Can we push for the reduction of these allowances? Really, what do you need convoys for? What do you need bulletproof cars for if you are doing the right thing? Who are you scared of? They need to take up that decision and cut down useless expenses. It's not necessary. If things are working, you wouldn't need all of those allowances to do anything. Why do you have to spend so much in things that you could just ensure that things are working here and you're also benefiting from the system that is working? These are things that they can do within the snap of their fingers. This is money that is in their hands right now. Whatever review they're doing for these palliatives and whatever database they're using, we're even talking about the palliatives. What database are they going to use to select the 12 million people? We don't have that. Who says that you're not somebody who needs that money? Don't you need money?
I need money.
How are you sure the money will get to the right people? And at the end of the day, when all of these solutions are being put in place, we need transparency and accountability also. That's topmost. Because at the end of the day, the reason why all of this happened in the first place is because of lack of transparency and accountability. If from the beginning, subsidy removal, we knew where the money was going to, what percentage, how it was being used. And even for the money that, the subsidy that was removed now, where did the money go to? Have they balanced their accounts? Have they returned the money that was removed, their accrual, to federal accounts? Nobody has said anything about that. How much is there? What do they intend to do with it? Can we see the books? So we need to go beyond just talk and solutions to transparency. citizens, the government is servicing the citizens. We need to be informed, timely also. Feedback needs to be gotten from citizens because we are the ones being affected. And then this feedback needs to influence whatever decision, again, is being followed up with. That's all.
Thank you so much.
I think in addendum to what my colleague has enumerated, you talked about something that struck my mind. You said reduction in cost of governance in terms of personnel and spending. Very ridiculous to realize that as at 2021, the cost of capital budget was almost at par with what was used for personnel. Very alarming. It's not done anywhere. So what you use is servicing the microscopic few, I call them, who is not up to 5%. It's almost as par with what you budgeted for capital expenses. No nation survive under that kind of climb, to be honest with you. So the need for government to reduce the cost of governance in terms of what they take on by 50% is very key. If by tomorrow the government has say, all the government officials, both National Assembly and the rest of them, they have looked at the challenges of Nigerians and they have decided to do the needful by reducing their salary by 50%. I think it will be something that will be remarkable. Nigeria will be very, very happy for that decision, so that there will be enough money to carry out infrastructural development and create more employment for the citizen. If that is done, I think it will be a good start for the new government, because there are a lot of criticism, and I can tell you that if care is not taken, this government is going to be one of the most criticized governments because of steps that they are taking already.
Thank you so much.
To gain our confidence and our support.
Because they actually need to gain our trust at this particular point. A lot of Nigerians are in doubt of what will this government do. I mean, it's already hard. Don't make it harder for us. In fact, Nigerians do not mind you not doing anything at this. Just maintain this hardship. But when you now make it harder for them, it's an issue for Nigerians. And thank you for sharing light on the ghost project. I call them ghost project. Those projects they keep doing that we know that it have already been done, but it's still appearing in the budget. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to you, Dakwine. Splendor mentioned two issues that they are like long impact of this removal of fuel subsidy if the government do not do something about it. You mentioned high rates of criminality and also poverty. From your whole end, what do you think are the long impact also, in addition to what's been done, that we are going to face if something is not done about the removal of the fuel subsidy?
I think we're already facing them, but some of us are shielded because we're in the city center. We hear of people, armed gunmen, raiding communities. It will get to a point where they will come into your office and they will take what they want and you can do nothing about it. And if you try to do anything, you will be harmed. It will get to a point where the helps you have in your house will arrange. Well, it's happening in some places where people come, they walk out of homes, nannies walk out of homes with babies and then they demand ransom. It will triple. It will become an everyday news. That's what happens when chaos begins to open up in a nation where solutions are not being implemented. People are complaining about kidnappings. People are complaining about destruction of property. People are complaining. Nigeria has been talking about drug abuse. Yes, I'm not saying that it's an excuse for young people to go into drug. But then, these are things that drives people.
Yeah.
I don't have something taking up my attention. I don't have something engaging me reasonably. And I still don't have a means of livelihood. What else do they have? This is free of charge. And then the truth is, the same government or government officials who are not really in service to serve the people would still leverage this issue and use these people as weapons to carry out whatever they want to do. And the people will sell themselves at very cheap prices. So, what are we looking out for? Let's be careful so that we don't have a situation where you are scared of even leaving your house because the street is not safe enough. So I'm not even talking about just hunger. Poverty is not being able to afford basics. For very, very valid reasons, people will do things.
Definitely.
Somebody has a sick mother and they can't take, or they're taking the mother to the hospital is saying you have to pay. They will resort to other means. Somebody needs to go to school, you're telling the person school fees. You would hear of shootings, random shootings in schools. A lot of things will go sour. Food trucks might be intercepted on the road. You send somebody, transport these goods from this state to this state or this community, and it won't reach there. It's not far away from us. A lot of things we say we're far, they're happening. And if we're not careful, it's going to get worse.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, the point that was coming out from my two guests, from Zikwan and Splendor, is the fact that insecurity will be on the rise if nothing is done about the removal of this fuel subsidy, which is true. Literally, people do anything to survive. And if they cannot get the money in the legitimate way, they won't mind actually going the other way to just get the money and to feed and eat. Even though it's 1 day square meal, just one meal in a day, they do not mind going through any means to actually get it.
That's true.
Thank you so much. And going to my last question, so I want to ask that moving forward, we've talked about the problems from Zikwan angle, from Splendor angle. We've talked about what everyday Nigeria is facing concerning the removal of this fuel subsidy. We've talked about a lot. Now I want to talk about what are the measures. I mean, they were measuring or putting in each of their answers what they think the government should do, which is good. But now I want them to look at it as an holistic question and answer from their angle. What do you think the government should do? What measures do you think the government should put in place to actually reduce the burden on everyday Nigeria? Now the fuel subsidy have been removed, so there is no before now, although now it has been removed. What is the next step? What do you think the government should do next?
Sustainable social investment programs. Social investment programs that are not one-hit wonders. Something that would last and would bring about ripple effects across board. Like I said, health insurance coverage should be increased. Transport system. They should address that issue of transport system so that people have subsidized transport vouchers they could use across communities. The issue of power, alternative power, we need to consider natural gas. While we're also considering the issue of this fuel subsidy thing, well, as we're also looking at fuel, we can also consider the issue of climate change so that alternative energy.
Renewable energy.
Yes, renewable energy, so that we can, when we have alternative energy and it's sustained, issue of agriculture will be supported in the fact that industries will work.
Yeah.
Storage will work because it's one thing to produce mass. It's one thing to have them stored and preserved.
Yeah.
It's another thing to have them refined into various products and transported across board for the benefit of all. Tax relief, multiple taxation has to go. We pay tax on pretty much everything, and Nigerians have to pay tax that are unnecessary. Tax is good if it's working for the people. So can we have a general mode of tax collection so that people, you don't have to pay tax in different places for the same thing? So multiple taxation has to go. It's a long-term solution, but the issue of security has to be tackled in different forms. When poverty, hunger, unemployment is tackled, insecurity reduces. We need to go as citizens. You said government. I'm also very particular about citizens. Citizens need to speak up. It's not about party. It's not about my person. This challenge is hitting everybody. If you are getting your own fuel in a different place, I don't know, I'll be your own transport price, then we need to speak up. Every single government official that is in office now is a new person. Lists are coming out left, right, and center. How are we holding them accountable? Your House of Rep member, your senators, those budgets that they are making new, budgets have not been made yet. Have you called them back home for your reps and told them, include this in the budget that you are going to make for the states? And then follow through to see that it's reflecting. Follow through to see that those funds are given and then those projects are being carried out. It's the only way that those social investment programs can be taken down to the communities. If you call your reps back home, your senators, and tell them, let's have these things. And then watch sittings. What are they saying during their sittings? Are they speaking for you? If they are not, look, it's never early. I know that we've not had it. You can recall, yes, we can recall representatives. It might be a long process, or you need how many times you can recall. We need to get to that point where if they are not working, it's like having an artisan. You call an electrician to come and fix something. He's not doing it well. Why are you keeping him? Civil servants in your places of work, it's not time to go to work by 12 o'clock. Those 3 days, those 2 days, go. What is your portfolio saying? What's that job description that you are employed to do? Go and do it. When all of us stand up and do the work we're doing, government will not play 10-10 with you. That's it.
I love that word. Government will not play 10-10 with you. But we're hungry, Splendor.
Like I said, the marketers, independent oil marketers, became richer at the pronouncement of fuel subsidy. Because some of them just came back from the market. They've just bought their product. Are you hearing me? And product that they bought that they were supposed to sell at the rate of 185 naira is jacked to 500 or something. That means it has become rich overnight. Plenty of money for 1 naira in oil and gas is very 1 naira. Are you hearing me? 1 naira in oil and gas business is very, very, very important. Let alone the margin from 185 to 500. So to me, removal subsidy made independent marketers more richer. And there are major problems. They are also the one that is causing government issues. They are the one that is misguiding even the government. Oh yes, market, they want to remain relevant. They want to be in the business. They want to make more profit. So the need for the government to engage independent marketers and see that those sharp practices among them is curtailed is very key also. When you see a situation whereby a marketer will be holding fuel, they will tell you there's no fuel, but there is fuel. He's waiting for now. Police stations are beginning to hold fuel now because they said they want to increase fuel to 800. Independent marketers, they are already holding their fuel because they know that when it is increased, it's more money for them. So the need for government to check all those excesses to ensure that those independent marketers, they are doing the right thing, nobody is holding fuel, is also very key. So one of the things that I see that is very familiar with government in terms of governance is that government lack the ability to monitor its own system that it has set up. Lack of monitoring and evaluation has been the challenge of government. And that feedback mechanism to be able to refer back to them as to what they are doing, the impact, what it has cost. Government don't have that feedback mechanism. The government feedback mechanism is very poor. It's zero, I can tell you. They believe that what their ISS tells them is what they work with. But it's not true. And I think that this government should be the government that should engage citizens more, because I see the block of this government are people of activists, people that human rights, the way they were, so there should be the face of human rights should be very visible in this government. Citizens engagement also is very key. That's what shaping government. That's what put government on check. That's what make government perform. That's what make government know that they are not doing well. Not what their essays are telling them. No. What the citizens, somebody that is in the community where project is going on, you know what is happening there. Any information that it gives you from that point is first hand. Government need to set up such mechanisms for feedback report, so that to be able to inform their next decision and steps to take. That's what is done all over the world. I think government should be more responsible this time around to put their head down and see how the economy is running and monitor it to the latter. It is on that we are sure that leakage is going to be blocked and there's going to be more money in the system.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My take home from this conversation is that government needs to be more transparent.
Yeah.
Citizens needs to be more involved in the process.
Yes.
And also we need to look at the issue of security.
Yeah.
If all of this can be tackled, I think we can all bear whatever the first subsidy actually brings for us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for staying with us up to this
You're
moment.
welcome.
We've come to the end of the first episode for the Nigeria in Focus show. Thank you to our amazing guests. Thank you, Splendor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Require, for coming on this show with us. And to our live viewers, thank you so much for staying with us up to this moment. Until the next time, see you next week. Bye.